Hello Nisha and good morning. This is your machine, the Breville Barista Express model BES870. This is an as new refurbished model. In fact, I sold it new to one of my customers a few months ago. And it turned out on day one it had a problem with the valve. So I've had to replace that machine to that customer. This is now repaired with a new valve. Like I said, it's basically used once or twice. Very, very clean. Has a couple of scratches, so mainly one on the front here, a couple here on the right, just from opening the box and closing it. But really, it is a like new machine. Comes with the warranty, all accessories in box. In this video, I'll be making a coffee on it to reassure you that it works fine, and I'm gonna sort of do a bit of a demo and teach you how to make the coffee on this machine. This model generally takes about 1 minute to boot up, so when you turn it on, it would take about 60 seconds to reach full temperature. So you can turn it on and go do something else and come back and it should be ready to go. What I would recommend is to also let it warm up, so maybe 5 minutes with the handle on. Let it stay on 5 or 10 minutes. It'll heat up everything inside, the valves, the boiler, the portafilter. And even if you put your cups here, after a while, your cups will also get warm a little bit, like that. So it's a good thing to do. And when you come to make the coffee, I recommend you also warm it up by running a blank shot. If you're in a hurry and you want to turn on the machine and make coffee straight away, at least warm it up by running a blank shot. So a blank shot means you have nothing in the handle, no coffee. Put it in there, and then get your cup and press the double shot button. This will give you a double dose of water just to warm up the handle and the cup. Awesome, you can do that once or twice, it's up to you. I'm going to do it with the single cup button just to show you that that button works well as well. Great. That's done, you can put that aside. Now the cup is nice and warm for sure, as is the handle itself. Once that's done, I would take it out and give it a good wipe with a tissue or a towel. You want it to be dry before you grind the coffee into it. So this is the double basket. It takes about 18 grams of coffee. I've got a scale here to measure the input and the output. I would recommend you have a scale just to set up the machine to the correct settings. After the initial setup, you can just eyeball it and go by feel. But I would recommend in the first few days you just get a scale and learn what a good shot of coffee looks like, and sort of learn when it's too fast and when it's too slow. Okay, I'm going to turn on my scale here, make sure it's on 0, and then to start grinding you just push it in. Before that though, I'll quickly tell you about the grind size and the grind amount. The grind size is the cog that you change here on the left. This will move the blades of the grinder further and closer together. So a coarser size will move them further, a finer size will bring them closer. In other words, if you make the grind size smaller, you'll get slower pouring coffee. If you increase the grind size to a larger number, you'll get quicker pouring coffee. So if you look at your coffee and it's running too quick, you can slow it down by reducing the grind size. And inversely, if your shots are running very slow, or if you're getting nothing at all into the cup, then your grind size is probably too small. I'm going to start on number 10 and make a coffee there. The range goes from number 1 up to number 18. So number 10 is about halfway, and we'll be able to see if it's too slow or too quick from this coffee. I'm just going to grind for a few seconds and get rid of that because there's been a bit of old coffee inside. Now I'm going to start with fresh coffee. So grind size 10. Grind amount is how many seconds the grinder will spin for. You can put it on a double quantity and select, say, 12 o'clock position, and it's going to give you the full 18 gram dose in one go. What I would recommend from my experience, it's better to do it in a single dose twice rather doing it in double dose once, and that's so you can have more control over the quantity and have less mess at the end. So let's try the 12 o'clock position, single quantity. Quite a lot of coffee. That's 9.5 grams. So I'm going to dial that back a couple notches. 9.5 grams for the single shot. We want 18, so we want about 9 grams, so this is not too far off. The grind size looks okay. I'm just going to get rid of some of it so it becomes closer to 9. There we go. The important bit here is after the first dose, you want to press lightly. So press the coffee to make space for the next dose. Otherwise, if you don't do this step, you're just going to have a pile of coffee that's going to spill over towards the end, which you don't want. Just to again remind you, I've reduced this from the 12 o'clock position to the 11 o'clock so that we get closer to 9 grams. We don't want to overfill the portafilter. My second dose. See, it's heaped up now. Let's measure. We got 17.5. I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'll leave it there. So that tells me that at the 11 o'clock position I'm getting 8.3 grams, and at the 12 o'clock position I'm getting 9.5. Honestly, I'd rather go under the dose than over the dose. If you go under, it just means that there's a little bit of space between the coffee and the water puck, the water dispenser. But if you have over the dose, the 18 gram dose, what that means is when you try to lock in the handle, the shower screen will touch the coffee, it'll disturb the surface, and it might put so much stress on the collars here, on the plastic portafilter holders, that it might crack. So I'd rather go under than over, always. So even if you get 17 grams in here, that's totally fine. If you don't have a scale and you want to know what the correct amount of coffee is, this is what it should look like before you press it with the tamper. So it should be it should be full to the brim with coffee. Make sure it's flat, make sure it's roughly equal on all sides before you press. And then the trick is, once you press, you want to apply good firm pressure evenly. And the trick is, if the silver part of the tamper disappears, then you have the correct amount of coffee. So Breville have designed this tamper with this in mind. So to know if you have the correct amount of coffee, your coffee needs to be this deep in the basket. So I've just pressed it firmly and the silver part disappears, just like that. If you can still see, so for example, if you have too much coffee, what you'll see is that you can still see the silver part poking out and you can't press any further. That's too much coffee. You don't want that. And on the other hand, if it's too deep in the basket, that's too little coffee. So if it's sitting all the way down here, that's too little coffee, and your coffee will become weak. So I wouldn't recommend that either. This looks like the perfect amount. So I'm going to lock it in the middle. And then it's time to brew the espresso shot now. So I would get rid of the water in my cup. If you like to add sugar or sweetener or hazelnut syrup or whatever to your coffee, I would recommend doing it now, so that when the coffee comes down, it mixes nicely with the coffee, with the flavors. You also have a hot water tap here, so if you turn it away, it'll give you clean hot water straight into the cup, straight from the boiler into the cup. If you turn it the other way around, you'll get steam. But let's make the coffee first, okay? So this is really helpful, the hot water tap. You can use it for things like long black coffee, Americano coffees. You can use it for tea bags. If you're making coffee and someone doesn't drink coffee, you can just use it to brew a tea bag. Use it to warm up your drinks, your cups. And what I use it for is I like to add a little bit of sugar to my coffee. So the hot water that I dispense from the hot water tap helps the sugar dissolve. And yeah, it makes for a nicer, smoother drink. Messy in here, but that's fine. Okay. I'm gonna reset my cup again. Now, we spoke about grind size, we spoke about input, we haven't spoken about output. So input should be 18 grams in the double basket. Output should be double of that. So the output should be 36 grams. That's what they call a 2-to-1 ratio recipe for the espresso. So I'm going to aim for about 35 to 40 grams in my cup, and ideally that should take 30 seconds to happen. That's a perfect shot. A perfect shot is 18 grams in, 36 grams out in 30 seconds. There's almost always variability, so it'll always go a bit over or a bit under the time, or the weight, it'll be a bit over or under 36. That's fine. A few grams here and there, a few seconds here and there, it's okay, especially because everyone likes different flavors. You may like it to be a quicker shot or a slower shot. You may like it to be a longer or a shorter shot. It's up to you. And don't focus too much on the numbers. Just let it guide you to the coffee, but don't try to follow it strictly, okay? All that matters is the flavor towards the end. And of course, if you add sugar, if you add milk, all these nuances will disappear. You won't have to be super strict about the coffee time and whatever. But anyway, just to give you an idea, you want to have 36 grams out into the cup in about 30 seconds. If my shot takes 20 seconds or 15 seconds to brew, then that's too quick, and that tells me that my grind size needs to go down to slow it down. If my shot is too fast, I'll repeat that again. If my shot takes 20 seconds or 15 seconds, it's too quick and we need to slow it down by reducing the grind size down. If it's too slow, so if my shot takes 45, 60 seconds, that's too long, and we need to speed it up by increasing the grind size up. Hope that makes sense. So let's just make a coffee and hopefully it's close enough, and if it's not, at least you can learn how to dial in your coffee. I'm actually gonna reprogram the button. So these buttons are reprogrammable, so you can control the coffee amount anywhere from 20 mils all the way up to like 150, 200 mils, which is a crazy amount of coffee. Again, we just want about 40 mils or 40 grams of coffee. So I'm going to do this, then that. So you wait and see the coffee brew, and then you stop it when you're happy with the quantity. Alright, the pressure is a bit low and the speed is a bit quick, and that tells me that my shot is running too quick. You want the pressure gauge to be around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock position. In my case, we got 38 grams of coffee, which is perfect, but it ran too quickly. If you look at the video again, this was probably 15 or 20 seconds, and the pressure was low. It might taste okay, but I want it to be a bit more closer to perfect, just for you, so you can have an idea of what a good shot looks like. I'm gonna put this shot aside, and then I'm going to make another one. Get some hot water. I'm going to pause the video, just so I can do the cleaning, and then we'll do it again. Okay, let's continue. We've got the basket cleaned. I've reduced the grind size from 10 to number 6, so that's 4 numbers smaller. It should make the shot much slower. I've purged the grinder, so I've ground 3 seconds and got rid of that because it's the old grind size. So now we're starting with the fresh coffee, fresh grind size. I'm gonna increase it to 1 o'clock position here. We're using the single shot twice here, and I'll increase it to the 1 o'clock position. We should have enough coffee. Let's see. So that's 7.4. Okay, I'll increase it maybe a bit more. We'll need about 9 grams per dose. Okay. We'll leave it maybe at the 3 o'clock position. Okay, after the first dose, like I said, press, then try again. We might need to add a bit more coffee. By the way, I would recommend you get a good bag of beans rather than using supermarket beans. Most supermarket beans are not fresh and they'll give you trouble when you make coffee. The only supermarket bean I would try is Lazio from Aldi. They're generally really good, really fresh, and they taste really good as well. Too much coffee, we might have to reduce that. 18.8. Okay, let's from now on keep it on the, for this grind size at least, keep it on grind size 2, sorry, grind size 6, and 2 o'clock position on the grind amount. Perfect 18 gram dose now. Let me get the tamper and press. I'm going to press nice and strong. I forgot to tell you, your machine comes with a razor tool. So it is a piece of aluminium like this that will help you have the correct dose. So if you have too much coffee in the basket, what you can do is get your razor tool and scrape the top layer of coffee. In this case, we have a little bit of extra coffee. So it's just removing that extra layer. And I'm going to get rid of that, put it all in the bin. And it's recommended you tamp again with the tamper, just to make sure you have everything perfect. Interesting, so it's 16 grams with this bean, this dark beans. It's telling me that it's 16 grams, which is, I guess, let's keep it there. So I guess try to keep it at the 2 o'clock position. Tamper, look at the silver part disappears, perfect. Put it back, lock it in, and let's brew this shot. I'm gonna add some more sugar like before. Alrighty. Need to clean up my kitchen. Cool. Reset the scale. Make sure it's on 0, and let's brew the shot. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reprogram the button to make sure that we have the correct amount. Look at the pressure gauge is going up. Much better. Look at the flow. Look how smooth. Full 11 o'clock pressure. Flow is nice and smooth rather than uncontrollable like last time. And that's about 20-25 seconds. I'm going to stop it there. Oh, perfect. That looks like a good shot. 38 grams. Again, I'm not joking. Let's show you. So sorry about the mess, but 38 grams. I'll call that basically the perfect shot. Grind size 6. And 16 grams in. So maybe try here or here. It's up to you, whichever you think is better for your coffee. But yeah, that's a good shot from my point of view. That's the importance of having a good scale, so you can know the input and the output and aim to get a good shot from that. Tastes really good, very smooth. Now I'm going to add some milk to my milk jug. Obviously your machine comes with a milk jug as well, but I'm using my own so that your milk jug stays nice and clean. I've filled it with full cream cow milk just below the spout here. So see this bend? That's where you should aim for, just below it, depending on the size of your mug. But that's the standard. Steaming milk is a skill you'll have to learn. Unfortunately, it is hard to show you on this short demo video. But my quick tips are: keep the jug at an angle, keep the wand. How do I describe it? So keep the jug at an angle, keep the tip close to the edge of the jug. So sort of this direction. So that what happens as the steam comes out of the wand, it spins the milk in like a tornado. And as it's spinning it, it's injecting air. The amount of air that you inject will depend on the height. So if the wand tip is too deep in the milk, you won't get much air injection. But if you keep the tip close to the surface of the milk, it will inject more air. So that's how you control the level of froth or the level of foam towards the end. So if you want a cappuccino, you want to get more foam. If you want to get a flat white, less foam, you know. I'm going to turn on the steamer. It takes about 10 or 15 seconds to reach full temperature. It's going to purge out some water, and then it'll start giving us full steam. Give it a few more seconds, and that's about full pressure now. So I'm going to turn it off, and then I'm going to put it in position, and then I'm going to turn it back on. Keep it at an angle, keep it close to the edge, and close to the surface of the milk. And you want to hear this noise, yeah? This is like the air injection noise. It sounds like you're tearing a piece of paper. That's how people describe it. You want to keep this position for maybe 10 or 15 seconds because you don't want to inject too much air. You don't want it to be too foamy. And then after that, you raise the jug. When you raise the jug, you stop injecting air. Now it's just heating up the milk, spinning it, mixing all the foam into it. So keep it there until it's too hot to the touch. When I can't touch the jug for too long. That's generally about 60 degrees. So I'll stop it there. Perfect. And I've got a thermometer here. It's telling me I got to 65 degrees. So yeah, you can get a thermometer. You can get a special jug that has the temperature on it. But honestly, it doesn't really matter. The most important thing is that when it's too hot to the touch, you just stop the jug. That's generally about 60 or 65 degrees. Very important. Once you finish, you want to purge. Turn it on for 2 or 3 seconds to allow the steam to clean the insides of the wand and remove any blocking milk. You don't want it to block next morning because you've forgotten to clean it. It's a bit of a pain to clean the next day. So clean it today. You can also use the hot water tap to soften the milk, just like that. And then give it a good scrub with a tissue or a towel. Make sure you get all the edges. And then, yeah, that's the milk done. And that's the latte done. Last thing I would do, super quickly, knock this into the bin. Very easy to clean. It just falls off right away. And give it a flush This flush now is to clean the basket and also clean the group head shower screen from any residual coffee. So just like that. That's a latte. So get your milk jug, knock it on the counter to break any air bubbles, and then swirl it around to mix. Do this a few times until the surface is nice and smooth. You want it to be very smooth, like wet paint, people say. I think we injected too much air, so now it's going to look like a cappuccino because we've got a lot of foam, but that's all right. Both taste the same to me. All right. Okay, small heart, but that's okay. You can do some really good latte art if you have barista training, have previous coffee making skills. Very easy to get latte art on this machine. Small heart with some squiggles. That's the best that I could do this morning. I did do it a bit too thick, so we actually have a lot of foam. But look, it's about 2 centimeters of foam. Very, very good. But yeah, that's the latte or the cappuccino on the Barista Express, your Barista Express. Hope you enjoy the machine. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. And I will see you soon. Thanks again.